Let's go.
Wednesday afternoon.
Welcome back, bro. Right, so
Pleasure to be here.
welcome to the Football Referee with myself, Emmy Hikins, and he calls me bruv.
And myself, Trevor Gear, and he calls me Cuz.
Yeah, so welcome to another interesting season of the Football Referee. So, Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
It seemed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one of the best Premier League football managers. Well, mostly he was so good. He won a lot of titles, and right now he's not lost. I think he's lost 5 games in a row, and he's drew 1. So he hasn't won 6 games in a row.
Mm.
I mean, last night's one where
Incredible.
I know, they went up 3-0, and you were like, yeah, that's the Man City that we know, and then concede 3 goals. What's happening with him? What is happening? Is it injuries? Is it what is the problem?
It's a real difficult one to answer, isn't it? Because as you say, they've not won for 6 games, but of those 6, 5 they've lost, including some at home. Now, traditionally with Man City in the last few years, their home losses, that might happen that they lose a game at their home ground once every 2 or 3 years. I mean, that's how much of a fortress the Etihad Stadium is. So something clearly has gone wrong. I mean, I think a lot of people say, well, of course, Rodri was injured, seriously out for the season, effectively. He was there the other day at their home match, parading his Ballon d'Or trophy, wasn't he? And yes, the statistics always show that when he plays, they always have a better win rate, even for Man City, than when he doesn't play. But I don't think that these 5 defeats and last night's crazy draw can be put down just to him. I mean, I think Kevin De Bruyne has not also played so much for whatever reasons, sometimes injury. And I noticed the other day, Pep Guardiola said that he thinks De Bruyne might well be leaving the club in the not too distant future. Not sure why that is, whether he's unsettled or who knows what. But I think the other side of it, which is a bit more concerning, is that I was reading today that some of the fans of Man City are a bit concerned about him, Pep Guardiola, because he said he wanted to harm himself in the interview afterwards last night. And interestingly, in the photograph of him there, he had quite a scratch on his nose and on his head, some scratches. Now, we don't know how that happened, but if it's one or the other, you might say, well, he bashed himself or whatever, but you wonder if in sheer frustration he's sort of been scratching, who knows? So I think there is some genuine concern. I mean, hopefully he's perfectly fine psychologically. He's just frustrated, but I don't think he's ever had in his history as a manager such a bad run of results. Certainly in the Premier League he hasn't, and probably he hasn't in his whole managerial career. So as you said, he's been, and I will put it in the present tense, that he is probably one of the best, if not the best, Premier League managers, certainly of the present crop and over the last few years. So it's an absolute mystery. I mean, by the absence of Rodri and perhaps 1 or 2 others like De Bruyne, they've played some of their younger ones, who are, and 1 or 2 of them, I think, play for England or have played for England, but they still don't have the experience of the likes of Rodri, De Bruyne, and so on. But when you think, for the most part, their team is the same team, sort of 7, 8, 9 players that have been winning all these trophies and so on, it becomes very difficult to analyse what's happened. I don't think it's because other clubs have just got a lot better and are catching up Man City. I mean, that may be a small part of it, but something seems to be amiss. And probably for any other club, pundits might say, well, he's lost the dressing room, or some of the players are unhappy, because that, for them to be losing that number.
Saw Femi and the ladies, Dr. Gladys and Phantom and Rose. We all have a lovely show every weekday, so join us for a lovely show.
Say hello to Phantom, Dr.
The dressing room, or some of the players are unhappy, because that, for them to be losing that number of games, including home games, and to teams that you like Bournemouth, wasn't it? You'd never expect Man City to lose to. They were always this cut above. So I think it's a very, very a sad thing from their points of view, from the fans there, but a very interesting, not in a good way, but you wonder what on earth has happened. Let's face it, football, like any sport, is a game of confidence. And I suppose once you lose the winning momentum, you therefore lose some of the confidence that goes with that. And in every team, in every great team, confidence is a key thing. You could step out each time confident you're going to win. Now, maybe ultimately that leads to complacency, which is a bit of a thorn, a negative for any team or any individual. But it may be, with what's happening, they don't want the ball, the players, and they're hiding a bit. I don't know. I don't know whether Jack Grealish has been injured. I think he has been injured lately, because he's someone who seems to maintain his confidence and he takes players on. But yeah, I think I can't answer the question as to what on earth is happening. Hopefully they'll come out of it and that they will, improve. I mean, he signed, didn't he? Guardiola signed a new contract recently for 2 years. And he said the reason he's doing it is because at that stage they'd lost the last 4 games. He said he doesn't like that, so he signed this longer contract, 2 years rather than 1 year, because he obviously wants to put that right. But since then, he's had another loss and a draw where they were 3-0 up, which is unheard of for them to lose that kind of lead. So it's like something's going on there, and very, very strange. Very unfortunate for them, really.
Yeah. I mean, let's just try to diagnose it. I mean, we're not football managers. We don't have the experience, but in a layman term, right? So from yesterday's game, they went up 3-0, right? And then conceded 3 goals. Now, which shows that their attack is fairly okay to score 3 goals in the first place. Now, to then concede 3 goals, that means there's a problem in defense. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Has to be.
Yeah, because for your attack to be good, you have to score goals, which they did, and then for your defense to then show there's a deficiency somewhere in the defensive lineup, you have to concede goals, which they did. So maybe it's their defense, maybe
it may be, but equally I think it's more like the whole team is just not functioning properly. If you're not firing on all cylinders throughout the team, if you get 2 or 3 out of kilter with it, that can spread very easily, because if you've got 2 or 3 weak links, that will affect the performance of the team. So probably unfair to say it's all down to the defence. They're not suddenly bad players overnight, but I think there's a misfunction. There's something's happened to the team, the confidence, the momentum, and maybe largely it is that loss of momentum, that they go out thinking we're Man City. That they seem to have lost that. They need to be reminded, I'm sure they are, of just who they are, that they are great players and a great team. But in another way, we're not going to weep too many tears. They've had their wonderful moments and going back quite a few years. And it's not a bad thing, perhaps, for the Premier League, for other teams in the Premier League to think, we can beat them, because now any team, I mean,
Femi and the ladies, Dr. Gladys and Phantom and Rose. We all have a lovely show every weekday. So join us for a lovely show.
Say hello to Phantom.